science is our subject for today. Welcome. Thank you for being part of our community. Thank you for being part of our class on Class Online School. This class is a just one class on basic science. We have other classes. If you have children within this age range, parents, auntie, uncles, fathers, please download it for your children. Our purpose on Class Online School is to help our students learn and relearn. Our aim is to bring learning closer to you, to bring learning to your home. Now, let's go to the subject for today. You remember that we've taken part of this topic when we talked about the effects of pollution, and then we talked about how pollution affects our respiratory tract and how it affects the organisms that live in our ecosystem. Today, we are going to talk about waterborne diseases. How does pollution affect the water we take in? What do we mean by waterborne diseases? It has to do with diseases will come in contact as a result of consuming contaminated waters. And most times, the waters we take in, they are not pure. Because the natural source of these waters have been contaminated. It has been polluted. So, how does water pollution have effects in our system? Remember, we are going to talk about diseases that are associated with water. Like in other classes, when we discussed about water pollution, we talked about pollution that affects aquatic life and even non-aquatic life. For example, oil spillage, dumping of toxic wastes, run out water as a result of pesticide or herbicides that have been sprayed on land that passed down or run down the waters, the ocean, the sea, the rivers, the lake, and what have you, the effect it has on both aquatic and non-aquatic life. And sometimes our environment, waters that are contaminated by feces, all of these have effects on humans. So, pollution makes it very possible for our waters to be contaminated, either from its natural source or from artificial source. Now, let's mention some of these diseases that we can get as a result of water pollution. I hope you understand what water pollution is. When the natural source of water you and I consume have been contaminated in one way or the other, and it's no longer fit for human consumption, and once it is consumed, it has negative effects on humans. Now, let us go to some of the diseases that you and I can contact, you and I can get as a result of contamination of our water. The very first one I'm going to talk about, it's going to do with the typhoid fever that is very rampant in most underdeveloped world or developing country. Typhoid fever comes as a result of consuming waters that are contaminated. Not same person will go contaminate his water with feces, but sometimes knowingly and unknowingly our waters are contaminated in this regards. Our sewage disposal, our source of water supply, are they in close range? Do they take the same level? The run-up water causes harm to where this water source are. Once our waters are contaminated with feces, you find out that there's going to be crisis in the system. And typhoid fever is a killer disease if not well taken care of. But if we're careful, it can be treated. So when we go to the control measure to pollution, we are going to see managerial measures we are going to take. Now another one is cholera. Cholera, its consumption comes as a result of you consuming contaminated water. You see somebody stooling, you see somebody vomiting, weakness of the body, before you know it, the person passes out. This disease comes as a result of consuming contaminated water. Now, there are some diseases too we contaminate through the skin. You go to the rivers, you go to the pools, you go to natural sources of waters to swim, to take water, and there are organisms or toxic substances that have been deposited in there, organisms that have breathed bad organisms into the water. We use this water to bathe, we come in contact with this water and find out that we start having problem with our skin and we'll have skin irritation. Some of them might be very serious that you might need a medical attention. So these are effects of waterborne disease in us. It's so disastrous. It's very bad. If you have an outbreak of a disease that comes as a result of waterborne disease, it's not a good story. So pollution in the aspect of water have actually killed many and have caused harm to many persons. Some persons have consumed contaminated water and have serious stomach upset that led to the damage of some other essential organs in the body. So we want to be careful to find out that the water we take in, how pure is it? We want to take good waters that can be very helpful for our system. Then we'll go to the next point, poor plant yield. Food is an essential part of human life. And where do we get our food from? The food we consume comes from plants, comes from the crops we plant. How does pollution affect our plants? That will make it, or that will reduce the yield that comes from it. Take for instance, if toxic substances are deposited on land, on the soil, and the soil has been rid of its natural nutrients, toxics have been introduced into the soil, and now the soil cannot give us its full potential because something has drilled off its nutrients. If you plant something, for example, in areas where such toxic substances have been deposited, or spill of oil spilled on a dry land, you find out that the crops don't do well. And once these crops don't do well, humans suffers because we will not have enough yield to cater for ourselves, and our works might be in vain. So it is very important that we take care of the land we plant things on, so we can get its optimum yield that we be able to cater for our human consumption. Now another thing is pollution. Industrial pollution affects plants around. That gaseous substance that goes into the air have effects on the plants that are within that environment. And once it has negative effects on it, you see that the production rate reduces. And once the production rate reduces, the yield you will have will reduce. And the number of people it will care for will be minimal. So pollution have actually caused harm to our agricultural sector. Most times too, pollution exposes the soil to direct sun rays. Because if those green grasses that serves as a shield to the soil has been destroyed, they've been rid of either by pesticide or herbicide, you find out that once these green grass are out, the direct sun rays goes to the soil, runoff water as a result of erosion comes and flush off the topsoil, the effect will be more on the soil. And if you plant fruits, crops, plants on them, it won't yield as much as it's supposed to. Erosion, I've mentioned it a little before, but let me talk a little about erosion. Erosion has to do with the wearing away, washing off of topsoil surface. And this topsoil surface have their own nutrients they contain. And once it is run off, you find out that the crops too will not do well. And once they don't do well, you and I know that it has negative effects on our production. So the agriculture has been suffering greatly because of pollution. Pollution have never been any one of us friend. It has caused more harm than good in the environment. So it is very important, very pertinent that we do something about pollution. How can we control the effect of pollution in our environment? Is going to be our next subject, our next class. So on our next episode, when we are going to wrap up the topic or the topics on pollution, we'll have pollution 1, 2, 3, and 4. We've taken 3 already. In our last class on pollution, we are going to see how can we put in control measures to control pollution. Until then, I want you to be part of that class, because you will equally learn just as you have learned from this class. If you have a comment below. Ask your question. If there are areas you want us to do better, tell us. If there is something you want us, or a subject you want us to introduce to Class Online School, if it is within our power, we will introduce it. If you have feedbacks for us on how we can do better, equally suggest it to us. Visit us at Class Online School and see other classes we have. Thank you for being part of us. Until next class, I'll see you in our next class.